Good morning, dear students. Prep 3. Today we are going to answer together the workbook, units 17 and 18. So let's start with unit 17, animal life in the past. So number 1, the question is to match, so we can match to make sentences. Number 1, dinosaurs are animals which have died out. Number G. Question 2, a meteorite is a rock, E, which comes from space. Number 3, if something probably happened, this means you think it happened, but you are not sure. Answer number D. 4, dust is something which comes from volcanoes. H. 5, if a volcano erupted, you would see smoke and fire. F. Number 6, when an animal dies out, you will not see it again. C. 7, if water is cool, it is not warm. B. And answer number 7 means that this is a fact. Here in number 7 we used if type 0 to state a fact. Number 8, if Aya and Dina both got 95% in the exam, they passed. Answer A. So here in question number 2, let's complete together the sentences with the correct form of the verbs in brackets to make third conditional sentences. So first of all, let's remember together how can we answer the third conditional or if type 3. So if it links or two sentences. So the first sentence after if should contain past perfect, and this means had plus the verb past participle. And on the other side, we can put 3 parts: would or wouldn't plus have plus the main verb past participle. So let's answer the sentences together here. Number 1 is done. Number 2, if Ali had read the book, he would have known what happened at the end. Number 3, Sami wouldn't have played basketball if he had forgotten to bring the ball. If I hadn't seen that camera in the shop, we wouldn't have bought it. Number 5, if Mr. Elbaz had caught the plane this morning, he would have been in Paris by now. Question number 3, we can answer using again third conditional type throughout our answers for these questions. So question number 1, what would you have worn if it had rained yesterday? So the answer, if it had rained. So we can notice here that we used the past perfect in the part after if, and then we will answer using would have and the past participle of verb were on the other side. If it had rained yesterday, you would have worn a raincoat. And here we can use or start with the other part. We can answer using or saying, you would have worn a raincoat if it had rained yesterday. But in this case, we are going to link the two sentences using if. So there would be no need if we use if here for the comma. So we use the comma as a punctuation mark if we start with if. But if we don't, we will put if in the middle instead of the comma. Number 2, let's see the answer of number 2. If your brother had been ill at the weekend, what would you have done? Here is the answer. If my mother had been ill at the weekend, I would have called the doctor. I would have gone to the hospital or whatever. Question number 3. What would you have said to the teacher if you had forgotten to bring in your homework yesterday? The answer, if I had forgotten to bring in my homework, I would have said sorry. So let's see the second page. Here we have page 32 in our workbook for Unit 17. And we have here question number 1. We have, how many animals can you name that live in Egypt? And this is this exercise based on the exercise on the student's book, page 44. So we have about, or we can name about 5 animals. Number 2, which of the quiz questions in the student's book, page 44, surprised you most and why? So according to me, and you can have different answer from me, the quiz which surprised me the most, it was about a baby giraffe that can stand up after about 30 minutes from being born and can usually run after 10 hours. Question number 2, complete the sentences using these words. We have die out. What's the meaning of die out? Die out, it means for animals or something that you will never see again. Farming, it's like agriculture. Huts or small houses. Stone Age, it's the age was about 8,000 years ago, and it was the age when dinosaurs lived. Cave is something inside the mountain. It's like a place, like this one in the picture. So let's see together an answer. Number 1 is done. The Stone Age was about 8,000 years ago. Number 2, farming is important because it gives us food to eat. Number 3, we need to protect many of our animals if we don't want them to die out. Number 4, Yasin stopped and rested in a cave when he was climbing the mountain. Number 5, the fishermen keep their equipment in small wooden huts on the beach. So let's see together. Number 3, it's a dialogue. So let's complete the dialogue together. It's between Soha and Niveen. Soha, I am reading a book about the Ice Age. This was a time when it was very cold and a lot of the earth was ice. When was the last big ice age? The last big ice age ended about 11,000 years ago. The earth became warmer almost. We chose between almost and first, and we chose almost 10,000 years ago. That is when most of the ice melted. In, around, and not round. In around 1850, A scientist called Louis Agassiz was the first person to study the Ice Age carefully. Did people live in the Ice Age? I think that people lived in the Ice Age from maybe and not at maybe 15,000 years ago. So let's answer together question number 4. So here, write what you would say in each of the following situations, and in this part of questions we are exercising, or we are see what we can answer or how can we answer these questions. So for example, number 1, a friend asks you when the first car was made. So you answered, the first car was made in around the 18th century. Your cousin asks you when your school was built. So my school was built maybe 25 years ago. Your teacher asks you for the age of the oldest part of Cairo, and this was built around 1000 CE. So the oldest part of Cairo was built around 1000 CE. And in this part, we can complete the sentences together. Let's start with number 1. We have begin, beginning, build, building, and cause. So number 1 was done. What was the cause of the accident outside the museum? Number 2, the beginning of the book was boring, but the end was very exciting. Number 3, how long did it take for them to build the Qasr Nil Bridge? Tomorrow's lesson will begin at 10:30. This hotel is the tallest building in the city. So here, let's listen together to this dialogue, and then we can answer the questions together. So let's listen. Pterosaurs look like large birds. They lived approximately 100 million years ago. They had big wings and a long neck. If they hadn't had a long neck, they wouldn't have been able to catch fish. People have found fossils of pterosaurs in many places, and this including Europe and Africa. So after listening, we can answer together. What was this kind of animal called pterosaur like? It looks like dinosaurs, like the one in the picture here. Okay, so we heard a large bird, looked like a large bird. And number 1, excellent. About how many years ago did it live? It lived 100 million. And here, what wouldn't have been able to do if it hadn't had a long neck? So what did its long neck help it in? They wouldn't have been able to catch fish. Number 4, where have people found fossils of the pterosaur? It happened in Europe and Africa. So here we have finished Unit 17, and let's start together Unit 18. Sea life. Let's answer question number 1. Complete the sentences using anywhere, coral, dolphins, stingery, and rough. Number 1 is done. Have you been anywhere as interesting as Alexandria? Don't go diving when the sea is rough. Coral is a group of animals that live together in large groups. A stingray is a big flatfish that lives at the bottom of the sea. Dolphins are very intelligent. They often jump out of the water in front of our boat. And here we can answer these questions. Can you name 3 kinds of plant life? It's done: Spanish, tree, and papyrus. Number 2, can you name 3 kinds of sea life? We have coral, stingray, and shark, or we can add whale. Number 3, can you name 2 kinds of bird life? We have goose, ostrich, and we can add the bitterser. Number 4, can you name 2 different seas? The Red Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. And here, let's match to make sentences. Number 1 is done. If we use a telescope tonight, we might see a planet. Number D. Number 2, if they went to London, they could practice speaking English. Answer number E. 3, if the weather is good today, we can go swimming. A. 4, if the sea is very rough, the boat might not leave port side. B. 5, if Hassan was ill, he couldn't take the science test. C. And here we can choose the correct words. And again, number 1 is done. If we revise for the test, we might get 100%. If they went to Alexandria in May, it might not be very warm. If Hela was very good at English, she might to get a job in London. If Mr. Ilbaz missed the bus, he couldn't arrive in Luxor until tomorrow. If they visited the farm, they could see lots of land. Here we can answer together. Complete the diagram. We can complete the diagram here using these animals. So we have some of these animals are called land animals and some others called sea life animals, and we have one which is common between them. So the land animals here, we have donkey, lion, snake, and turtle. And for the sea life animals, we have shark, whale, and stingray. And the one which is common between land and sea life, we have the tortoise. Okay, so here we can complete the sentences using diver, excitement, instructor, relief, and wreck. Number 1, the diver said that he saw some beautiful coral under the sea. 2, the best place to see fish is in the old wreck of a boat near the island. 3, there was a lot of excitement when the tourists saw some dolphins following the boat. 4, don't worry if you haven't swum before. The instructor will show you what to do. 5, it was a relief to hear that nobody was hurt in the accident. And here, in number 3, we can complete this dialogue. This dialogue is between a tour guide and a tourist. So the tour guide, we are going to visit the desert today. Great! Desert? I love the desert. I hope that we'll see some beautiful birds. I'm looking forward to it. And here in this dialogue, we are rearranging the dialogue and not completing. So number 3, there are also lots of snakes in the desert, but not many of them are dangerous. Thank goodness for that. So remember too that it's very hot, the desert. However, there are a few clouds today. What a relief. So shall we go now? Yes, please. I can wait. And here we have our last part. We can match these words and their or with their abbreviations. For example, the abbreviation AM means in the morning, C. And the abbreviation PM means in the afternoon, E. And the abbreviation KM, per hour, it means kilometers an hour or per an hour, A. Number 4, TV, it means television, or it's the abbreviation for the word television, B. Number 5, CM, it's the abbreviation for centimeter, number D. Here we have sentences, 4 sentences, on which we can make notes for these sentences. For example, number 1 is done. Our English lesson is at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. We can write here a note, English-11 a.m. tomorrow. So number 2, your favorite television program is on at 6 o'clock this evening. So we can write TV or TV program 6 p.m. this evening. And we also can write that book is 25 centimeters wide. We can write book 25 cm wide. Shall we go to the park or the beach this weekend? We can write park or beach dash this weekend. By the end of this part, I wish you all the best in your life, and I wish you to study hard, and good luck.